There, it went live. Wow, technology is slow tonight. It's a Monday.
It
What?
is. I was having problems all day for work today, and yeah, I don't know. Anyway, happy Monday.
Yeah, happy Monday. There. See, Instagram just popped up. So, good Lord. Who whoever decided to do a podcast on a Monday night?
I know, right? Who are those people? That's funny. Well, welcome you too. Welcome to our Facebook pages, our Instagram pages, Twitch, Rumble, and eventually we'll get these uploaded to iHeartRadio. So, hello. Uh, Hold on, I just drew a blank. iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, and
Spotify.
Spotify. There we go. See, it's a Monday.
It, it is. It is a Monday. And of course we we're kind of hit and miss there over the last couple weeks. And you were traveling and all sorts of stuff, but we are back on
I
track
was in
and should be good to go for a few Mondays.
Absolutely. I was in Indiana for 2 weeks visiting my parents. I flew back Saturday night, and as you can see, I'm back in my travel trailer. So here we are. Everything is back to normal, and we're ready to go. But I'm excited for tonight.
I am too. Our dear sweet friend decided to join us again. She's such a blessing and such a wonderful voice for the type 1 community.
She really is. Now, we talked to April a little over a year ago. And so if you're curious, definitely go back and re-listen to that. But April's really done a lot of work, and we thought it would be great to have her back on just to give us an update from when we talked to her a year ago.
Absolutely. So, welcome to join us, April.
Hello, guys. Thank you for having me back again.
Absolutely. Like I said, you're such a wonderful voice in, trying different things and figuring out how, one stress plays into it, but also how just the lifestyle with having and living with type 1 diabetes because you've been type 1 for 33, 34 years?
35, actually. I finally did the
35 now.
math. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. No, it's definitely been a long journey. And the hard part is actually unlearning a lot of the things that I had learned right from the get-go. Because even if I have a low blood sugar, the first thought is 15 grams of carbs. And it's like I'm not eating like 15 grams of carbs usually in any sitting. So things are completely different now. So yeah, yeah, lots of changes.
And so how
So,
have you navigated those changes and balancing things with the
well, so the last time that we chatted, I was doing the high fat. I did that for probably about 9, 10 months or so, high fat, moderate protein. And then Christmas ended up happening, and the stress as a hairstylist, it's like I feel like my arms are going to fall off usually, kind of like right now because it's wedding and prom and grad and all the things. So it's very busy. But that, as well as actually the lack of UVB, that made a huge impact on me this year, as well as getting I ended up having an abscess in one of my teeth. So what ended up happening, I got super sick from that. I had to go on antibiotics, and because of the antibiotics and the fat, the high fat, the two worlds did not mix at all. So basically, I had to actually at the time we were doing the meat and ferments. It
Mhm.
was January. That was one of the challenges. So I introduced fermented beets. And I can't tell you the change that actually happened in my stomach. It was insane. It was like the gurgling, the digestion was actually just naturally sort of happening on its own. It was impressive. So lowering the fat was quite an adjustment. So to be able to digest the extra protein now that I was eating, the ferments were perfect. The transition just was very gentle. And yeah, since then, actually, so that ended in February of last or this year,
March, yeah.
March. Yeah, sorry. And then you introduce, what is the,
Better than yesterday summer challenge.
yes, the Better Than Yesterday Summer Challenge. So what I started to do was actually, once I started having more protein, and then once I started working out, I started to notice that I actually required more energy, or I was just, I needed to be more full. So because of the ferments, I've been able to slowly introduce, and I go down the list of, is it low carbohydrate? Is it low glycemic? Is there any lectins in it? Is it going to cause mucus? What, like, I really break down the vegetables. Also, is it seasonal in Canada? Because that's the hard part, especially
Mm-hmm.
um, in the first part of the year. So I've been able to reintroduce, and this was like teaspoon at a time, green beans, carrots, celery, no skin, no seeds, and Boston leaf lettuce. I can do that one. Sadly, I can't do anything too fibrous. That's not not too happy for my digestion just yet. So, but yeah, and I've made huge. It's mind blowing actually, just the ability to work out and still have good blood sugars and do the grounding and do the earthing. It was just like a simultaneous sort of just shift that just naturally happened, especially as the seasons changed, and it
Mm-hmm.
worked beautifully. Yeah.
And so with that, with the reintroduction, because of course, even with the ferments, even with green beans and everything, you have those in, the spaces that will say, but those are carbs. So what have you seen with your glucose and also your basal insulin?
Yeah. So basically, I'm still following the Dr. Bernstein's 30 grams of carbs or less within my day. I've noticed no increase in my basal, no increase in my mealtime insulin at all. He times it so 6 grams of carbs in the morning. I typically don't have carbs in the morning. I typically have it in the afternoon. And I also plan it around when I'm more busy, when I'm physically working, like Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I work all day and all night. So I require a little bit more energy. Um, and it's been great because I'm only basically doing about 10 to 15 grams of carbs per meal, usually lunch and dinner. Yeah. And I've had no problems at all. If anything, actually, the nighttime, um, especially when you're starting to have more energy and you're being more physical, you can drop a little bit because you're using the sugar that's in your body. So, sorry, backtrack, strategically starting to understand what exercise does what. So, cardio, I know, is going to burn the sugar that's in my body right away. And working and lifting heavy things is actually going to increase my blood sugar. So, sometimes I can play around with it. I tend to be a little more insulin sensitive at night, so I can work out and not have to give any insulin for the working out. But it's just really getting to know your body, your lifetime, like your schedule, and just once you understand you and how things work, it mixes really easily.
Well, and you kind of nailed it right there of, cardio is going to end up and basically deplete what's already in your system rather
Yes.
quickly, but the glycogen is going to pull out of those muscles if you are tearing them down and breaking them and lifting heavy things, right? Um but so we understand the fact of exercise and how it plays its role, but what about even when you're going outside and doing maybe a little bit more of the parasympathetic work, such as even just grounding? What does that do with the basal, and does activating that parasympathetic cause you to sometimes need to lower that?
So the basal insulin can adjust depending on your body weight, mostly. It's basically keeping your body together. And as you start to work out, the basal can, I've actually started to notice that I've had to decrease my basal more and more and more, usually about 1 to 2 units a week. And ride that out, see how that plays out. Yeah, it's an adjustment every day because some days I can have an amazing day at work, but then have something or someone give me some information, and I'm very much an empath, and I hear a lot of things. And even just in the world today, right? Like just things are so stressed out. So I can notice a huge difference if I'm stressed out. I'll go outside, I'll get cool because you're outside in the
Mhm.
cool, fresh air. You're getting the sun at the same time, too. It's a balance because too much sun will actually increase my blood sugar. Coolness will decrease my blood sugar. It's kind of a fun thing to understand. It's kind of like having a cold shower, you'll notice, or having
Mhm.
yeah, your blood sugar will drop like
Yep.
crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, every day is different. Some days I don't have to adjust anything at all. And other days I have to adjust the way I'm eating, the food that I'm eating. Perhaps I don't have enough time or life is just busy, but you just get to learn your little tricks. But definitely the mealtime insulin is the one that can fluctuate the most, I find. Definitely.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so with the difference in the amount of insulin, with the exercise, with these challenges that we've been doing through the BNC community, I know you posted on your Instagram the other day, but you're also seeing the body comp change. And so that, like you said, makes a difference as your weight changes as to how much insulin you need as well.
Yeah, and even from like I really wouldn't say that I've had a weight change. I've had a shift. It's gone from fat to muscle. So I weigh exactly the same as I did the last time we did this interview a year ago. But everything is it's funny because I'll catch my arm and I'll try to flex it again, and I'm the worst flexor ever. But I was like, "Did you see that? I can see something." But it gets me excited. Yeah, it just feels good to be stronger. Yeah. And it just having that control over um, I've had a stressful day and I've actually started to acknowledge that exercise is a great way to really boost your energy and those endorphins. It's the one thing that I've actually been fighting because I know I need to do it, but it's just I don't have that oomph to do it. I've actually motivated my younger brother. He sends me a message every day, just a, inspirational something. He's like, "Do it, just get it done." And he's like, "You know what? This is awesome. I'm actually working out now." So it's kind of a great spiral, but yeah, it's new to me, honestly. I've never had good blood sugar, good food, and worked out at the same time. So this is the first time in my life I'm doing all three, and it's awesome. So thank you for the challenge because it's definitely motivated me to do things that I would not normally do.
Absolutely. And it's the basic things, right? The challenge isn't, some elaborate hard type challenge. It's
No.
just the basic things of sleep, 30 minutes of outside time and movement.
Yep.
So I'm not even asking, to go to a gym and do a specific workout. It's like just move the body, right? I
Yo,
don't care how you move it, just move it.
yeah, I've had days where I didn't have any time to work out. So it was like I was going to Costco, I was doing my running around, but I made sure I parked a million miles away, or I made sure that I was in there a little bit longer than normal. Or when I came home, I would, do laundry, purposely go up and down a million flights of stairs and just use what I had. And also I was also kind to myself on a day where I was just overdone. I was just stressed out and I just knew those were the days that I had to just chill out. That right there I think is a huge important thing because when you put too much pressure on yourself to do anything, then you start to self-doubt and then you start to bad talk yourself in your mind and that makes a huge impact. Definitely. Like I've really noticed with going outside and getting the earthing and just connecting with like staring at a bird flying or whatever. Like you just get really into appreciating every little thing hugely. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I found what was it? Was it Monday? I think it was Monday, Becky. What was it? Monday, Tuesday? I don't even know now. I'm so messed up, but I was in the mall
Mm,
and you and I were talking and you were like, "Go walk."
yeah.
Yeah.
It was Tuesday
Right?
or Wednesday.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
was like, she was like, "Go walk." And I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
"Yeah, I can go walk the mall." And that's what I did. I mean,
I've
I
actually seen a video of somebody using the escalator as a stair climber.
oh my
Why
goodness.
not? Yeah,
Yeah.
there's always seniors walking around in there. It's awesome. And especially in the summer when it's too hot, go somewhere where it's cool and it's relaxed. And yeah, why not do what's best for you?
Yeah. Well, one night I was walking the neighborhood at my parents', but I was on the phone and I was talking and I did a mile and I realized I could do it. I did 2 miles.
That's
Actually, I
amazing.
did like 2.5 miles because I was on the phone talking, hands free, walking around, and it was just funny. But the thing is Becky and I kind of came up with that challenge because of that. What is it? The hard 75?
75 hard.
Yeah, 75 hard. And I don't know if people know about it, but if you don't do all the things in the day, you start over. And uh, Becky and I talked about how it just sets people up for failure, really. And how do you keep that up? Uh, Going in our day-to-day lives, right? And so that's kind of how our challenge was born, because it's building on the common sense things, the things that we have control over and do. And I think you've been a perfect example of that, April.
Oh, thanks. It it it's hard to make yourself a priority. It really is. It's hard to set, like I've had to really set boundaries. It's funny because I can schedule my whole day like clockwork, no problem. And I've spoken with clients actually, and one lady, she suggested, she's like, well, get a separate calendar just for working out. Like I love talking to my clients because they always have like great information or great suggestions. It's like sometimes the most obvious thing is right in front of you and you can't figure it out on your own. So just little tips like that, like the little things are all the things that matter in everything. But just having the know-how to also give yourself that patience as well, right? I
Mhm.
have a hard time when it comes to weights because I don't know the things to do. I have a million Pinterest workouts, but I need like the specific, just one by one by one. Anyways, I set myself up for. I trying not to set myself up for disaster by overthinking anything anymore. It's just like anything you can do, just do it. Like if it's just a kettlebell swing, do it 50 times a day. Every time you walk by it, swing it. It's there. I showed that video of the trampoline. I have that in my back room. If I jump any harder, my head's going to hit the ceiling. So I have to be really careful. But I love doing that. It's just like it gets some energy out. You just shake it out. And a big reason I do that is actually for lymphatic.
Mhm.
I've found a huge benefit in that. And especially with standing all day, it's made a huge change in my body, like just the blood flow and my circulation. My legs are, I can tell right away if I've been standing too long because I literally have like no circulation happening in my legs. They get really stiff and I can barely bend them, but now it's just like wiggly jiggly. And the more you move, the more it just feels good. And you just like, I need to do this every day. And I do it. So I love it. Yeah.
It does become a addicting habits, and that was the other reason why with this Better Than Yesterday I went 90 days instead of
Yeah.
just a 30-day challenge, because it takes consistency, but also allowing yourself grace, which is why we also have the forgiveness day in there, because we want to end up and build this into a sustainable lifestyle. I mean, like I said, it's all habits that should be incorporated anyway, but for many of us, like you said, we have million and one ideas, right? But how can we put it into a structure? And I
Exactly.
want to be functional, right? Kind of
Yeah.
like what you're saying. You want to be able to work, you want to be able to be a good mom with the kids, and just to be able to do that. And your child is, what'd you say, a freshman? So you still have 4 years of him at least being at home, and you want to be active, right? You don't want to end up and be like, oh, moaning and groaning, I can't move, or I
Yeah.
can't go for a walk with you or whatever, right? So that's where this ends up and comes into play. And I get that. It doesn't have to be, a specific gym set rotation or whatever. I'll go outside and carry branches. We talked about that on Instagram the other day of just doing the yard work, or a haul, railroad ties. Why? Because it needs done. They ain't going to move themselves, but I'm able to do it. Right. And so, yeah, it's just being intentional, being more mindful of it. However you can end up a move. So
Exactly. Yeah.
So I'm curious, and by the way, just looking at you, I can see a huge body comp difference. You definitely, for you to weigh what you weighed when we did this a year ago, you don't look it, right? At all.
No, I everything fits a little differently, but definitely, yeah.
Yeah, you look good. But so what
Thank
is your doctor, right?
you.
What if they said, because I know you kind of have to be careful telling them what you're doing.
Well, my doctor's actually been quite receptive, but not like I started regular insulin for my protein. So he had no problem giving me that. But he still doesn't ask me, what are you doing? How are you doing that? Oh my God, you're doing great. He'll say you're doing great and then just leave it at that. So sadly, he's still not on board. But I know he's got his angle. So sadly, but yeah, no, I would love to get like a t-shirt, or I need to get something, and every time I go to his appointment, wear it, blood sugar like A1C of a 5.8, and I've been diabetic for 36 years and only eat meat and a little bit of carbs, like something, just like carbs are not the be all and end all. Because in the diabetic world, that's all they do is just eat whatever and just take insulin, and that's good. And it's hard. Like I have a few clients, and I hear stories about things, and it's just like, oh my gosh, like there's just, it's almost like the education isn't the problem. Usually a lot of people have a lot of background, something going on. So it's a
Yes.
lot to focus on, right? Like you really have to, like I've gone down the rabbit hole of my past and all the things that I've gone through. And that's exactly why the high fat worked for me, because I was in a mental state of, I'm not invincible, because I was just getting the eyeball injections. I was fearing for my life, essentially. And the fat calmed my nervous system hugely. So when I went to more protein and lower carb, I had to bring in a lot of breath work, extra grounding, the exercise. I needed to do things that were also going to calm my nervous system without the extra fat. And there's so many things that you can do. And one of the biggest things that I've had to do is really set boundaries in my life. Like there's no intense conversations an hour before bed. I'll say no without question. No explanations about whatever. You just really have to understand, and you sort of figure out what you need to feel calm and what you need to feel safe. Safety, I think, is a huge thing. Um, Sadly, it's just yeah. There's so much going on in the world right now, and there's just so many visual things that you're seeing, and even that's upsetting to see. So it's hard to think of like what's going to happen in the future, but you have to look for the positive in everything and appreciate and be grateful. I still do all the things that we discussed earlier, like the grateful list at night. I haven't missed a day earthing or seeing the sunrise first thing in the morning. It's been fun to actually adjust with the clock, like 5 minutes earlier every day. Like I've started that. It's taken a long time, but it's
Mhm.
totally in my schedule now. It's fun to see all the different things happen, and just be part of like life outside of the house is pressure.
hmm Well, and it just helps overall, whether it's the serotonin, dopamine side of things, or just the way that the body ends up and feels. The more that we can kind of strip that back, and that was one of the things. I know we've talked about it on here on YouTube, but I've also talked about it in my morning lives of this challenge. One, it was free, but it was also not requiring anyone to buy a bunch of supplements. It wasn't requiring anyone to have gadgets or, anything along those lines. So there was ultimately no excuse for someone to, not join us in doing it. Because one, just reconnecting, right? Getting back to that natural living, getting back in sync and in rhythm. Because the body gets in that natural flow. Like my body is already starting to wake up earlier, and I'm like, oh man, there's days where I end up and I try to push through it because I'm like, one, it's the weekend, right? I don't have to end up and be up, but we've also been, doing a lot of work outside, and I want that downtime. But my body's like, nope, it's sunrise.
Yeah.
So it's time to get up. But yeah, you kind of notice that now. Obviously, I kind of have to hack that in the wintertime because I have to end up and be up for work. But your body does end up and know the more aligned and in tune with and the presence with, frequencies and the surrounding, the better overall you'll feel.
Yeah. Yeah. My goal this winter is like I got some pants to go for walks last year, but my goal this year is to like really be outside as much as humanly possible. Especially because there is no UVB in Canada at all for I don't know the exact time frame, but just to get all the right signals happening,
Mhm.
definitely. Yeah. And to work out as well too. That's still definitely. Apparently there's something about working out that can help with the chemical. I don't know the terminologies, but it just ignites um
It
storage.
creates the endorphins and
Yeah.
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 Well, it's funny because I noticed the same thing back before we sold our house and moved into this tin can. I was lifting heavy weights,
Yeah.
right? And I could literally, you would think, I mean, yeah, my blood sugar, I'd wear the continuous glucose monitor. I could see it go up a little bit, but by gosh, when I was done, it
Ooh,
really came down like you were saying. Um, and I seen that too as a type 2 diabetic.
yeah. Yeah. Definitely. For sure. It's it's I don't know why it's such a hard thing to do. Right? Like why is it so difficult?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I wish I knew, right? Yeah. So, yeah. And the cold shower, like you said, I could purposely back like a couple years ago, if it I was outside in the summer heat, um, my blood sugar would go up, gosh, 80, 90
Yeah.
points in that
So
heat.
yeah. So when it happens now, just to go into a cooler place or
Mhm.
make your feet cold or whatever you need to do. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's you were talking earlier about like the clock and stuff, but yeah, it's funny because I can tell right away that my system is working because I'll go outside, do the sunrise, do the earthing, and then I'll have to go to the washroom. It's just like, okay, I'm the Chinese clock is working. It's like
Yep.
tick, tick, boom. Yeah. It's awesome. But and I can also tell because I was talking about the lymphatic before, if we go out for dinner and it's almost to the point now where we maybe go once a month, if that. But if I have anything, I can notice right away because my lymphatic will actually get clogged up. Like I can feel it in my left armpit. It's really weird, but it's just like I can feel things. I just know that something's in there that needs to get out. Like in a bad oil or something they had put on the pan or something.
So what is your client saying with the because I'm sure they see the changes.
Oh yeah, they notice a huge change. I find lately I've had almost everyone come in with a situation, so to speak, and it's um just getting deep down and just really raw with them about like what do you do for you, like what do you
Yeah.
do to calm yourself, what do you do to make you happy and put a smile on your face. I have a lot of moms, a lot of women, and it's kind of consistent across the board, and especially when you start to see the similar symptoms like stomach upset or suddenly there's gallstones for some reason or just different random things. it's quite crazy. But everyone is super receptive. They always ask me questions like, still meat? Yep. But yeah, and I have some days where it's still completely carnivore. It really depends on the day. I'm sort of all over the place.
That was going to be my next question was
Right.
some of these that end up and have heard you say, high fat carnivore, meat only, were they surprised when you started to add the ferments or start to add some of this other veg in?
Well, I introduced the whole story to them and said that it's an elimination diet. It's a great way to really fine tune exactly what the problem is. Um, when you're only eating like 10 things or 5 things, you know exactly what the problem is when you reintroduce it. I tried arugula, and sadly, that did not like me. So, unfortunately, can't do arugula just yet. But no, everyone's super receptive because and I bring up things that maybe they wouldn't have thought of, like even just the food that they're eating or the state of their mind while they're eating that food. Like so many different things that people don't even think about. And I love listening to you guys chat, and I love coming to the meetings and stuff and just hearing other people's stories, and just it's a great way to, because when it comes down to it, we're all just people, we're all just human, and we all just have things happening all the time. And then just to know that, I like to be a support system for everyone that comes in, and I love it. They're awesome. My clients are great.
Well, and everyone is so different. So,
Oh,
even the
completely.
three of us eat so much different and we tolerate different things. But
Yeah,
um,
I even have clients that are vegan, and my concern is like, are you getting enough? Are you all the things? And they're receptive to talking about different ways about going about things, or why they are doing the way that they are, or whatever. But the, with my job, it's like I almost need to know everything about you before I touch your hair. So I know everything and can talk about everything with anyone. And I love that part.
What can you see in people's hair? That's a good question, right? Can you tell, like,
Oh, definitely. I've had, well, you can tell thyroid issues for sure. The hair is really thinning and it's falling out. They don't have as much hair. It's a lot finer. Or if they even are eating the wrong things, it kind of leaves a residue in their hair. Like its color won't attach to it. Things are, yeah, you can see right away. Or they're just um, over gray too soon, or different things, like even young girls with PCOS, I can see in their hair that like you have like not quite alopecia, but there's some situations going on there. And I'll talk with them about it when it's just one-on-one and try to help them in any way I can. But no, you can, hair and nails are like the first sign of health in your hair, or in your body for sure. Like your hair is going to be sacrificed before anything else. So it's kind of an identifier.
absolutely, as someone that had Hashimoto's, I made a post about that the other day because it's also not just eating more meat either,
No.
right? It's not necessarily about the high fat carnivore that's going to fix that, because with like my Hashimoto's, that was one thing I had. I mean, I could brush my hair, and as a beautician, you end up and people that are losing hair, I mean, you'll end up with a brush full.
Yeah.
That's just how fast it comes out. So alopecia, yes, it comes out in larger clumps, but with thyroid issues, it comes out rather quick. Um, but yeah, it took me going beyond just just the carnivore to end up
Yeah.
and fix that. And I think that's where many people grasp at the straw of, I'm just going to end up and go high fat carnivore and eat more meat, right? Because that's what a lot of loud voices end up and say is, you need more protein. But that's not always the case. You need adequate protein.
Yeah.
But the lifestyle side and balancing that stress, and like you said, setting those healthy boundaries, because that for moms and working women is hard, right? I'm sure you've probably had the client come to you and be like, oh, I know it's last minute, but can you end up and fit me in?
All
And
the
you're
time.
working
Yeah.
beyond your hours,
Yeah.
right? So that is very important to end up and set those boundaries, not only in your home, but also in other areas of life too.
Yeah, even hair elasticity as well too. Like, are you getting enough omegas? I can even notice that with me. That's one thing that I don't do enough of is omegas. So I'll get caviar and then it runs out and then I forget to buy it and then yeah, so
Salmon roe is a great source of that for anyone
yeah.
that is listening. It doesn't have to just be the little black caviar. Salmon roe is great for that. I freeze mine, so I'll buy, a good sized jar and then I throw it in the freezer
Oh, that's
and
smart. I didn't even think to do that.
just it lasts longer because otherwise you're like really going through it when it's in the fridge
Yeah,
where I just put it on a piece of parchment paper, flash freeze it, and then put it in a silicone baggie and it's literally in the door of my fridge.
perfect. That's awesome. Also,
So
another thing you do that I started doing was you accumulate your water first thing in the
mm,
morning to make sure that you then drink it. It's like that makes so much freaking sense.
yeah,
You actually know exactly how much you've had in that day. So I've been doing that and that's helped me out a huge time. Yeah,
yeah,
little trick.
absolutely. It's well, and it's there, and it's, I mean, not to say that your water faucet or your water filter or whatever isn't there, right?
Oh
But
yeah, you've done all the things to your water. Yeah.
it's more the fact
Yeah.
of my water is sitting on the counter, I really need to end up and drink. As you end up and pass by, it's there, right? I don't have to take the 5 minutes or whatever it is to add my electrolytes or add my Shilajit. It's there. And I
Yeah.
sip on it and it's like, okay, what am I, I like my Shilajit warm. So it's like, am I kind of, feeling like something warm right now? Or have I been out in the heat and need something cold? So yeah, it does end up and help to push that hydration or get your multiple areas of water in.
Yeah, definitely.
So what
Absolutely.
are some big goals that you have moving forward and looking at the future?
Goal that I have. So I'm 49 now forever. I've decided that this will be the year that I definitely like I'm the working out part. That for me is like my biggest, that's pretty much the only one that I've got for this year right now so far is just like maintain it, continue it, and actually influence my son to do it as well too. So and he'll randomly pick up the kettlebells and swing them around like a monkey, but I'll get him organized. So that definitely, and uh, like you said earlier, my son is 15 now and in high school, so spend as much time as he'll want to hang out with me this summer. We'll see how that goes, but um, yeah, no, honestly, it's just my goal. Actually, I really want to get a sauna. Like that's the one. It's funny when you think of like, okay, I need to sweat. It's like, okay, get a sauna. That's the fastest way to sweat. But it's like not the only way to sweat, but I also want to get that just for the detoxing effect of it. And I think it'd be great in the winter, especially in Canada.
Oh,
Definitely.
Absolutely. And so what would be your voice of hope or guidance for other type 1s that are trying to navigate some of these similar health challenges?
If you're not getting the help that you need, if you're not getting the control that you want, to search for it, to search out, because there's so many people online. Like, honestly, when I found you guys online, I've learned so much. And I've learned so much from like multiple different people as well, too. It's like when you're hearing their life story and the things that they've done and you connect with that right away, it's like, I've done that. That didn't work. Okay, let's try this. So you're not going to lose anything. It's not impossible. It's difficult, but you really have to make yourself a priority. Like that's the big thing. It is going to be work for sure, but there's such a sorry,
Bless you.
a log in my throat. There's so many people out there that are willing to help because you both coach one on one as well too, and just I'm very when I do my own like I sort of separate myself a little bit when I'm trying to figure out stuff because I'm taking the time to figure it out.
mhm.
And then I come back once I've got all my information and start asking questions. So I would suggest just gather a bunch of questions about the things that maybe that you've seen, because there's so many people online talking about better control and better ways to do things that aren't going to cost. Like I bought Shilajit in a copper water bottle. That's it. And I've had huge improvements in my life, insane improvements. Like it's just having the idea in front of you, implementing it, having someone to come back and forth with to ask questions, even just online messaging back and forth.
Mhm.
So easy to do. You guys are so receptive, like right away, all the time. That's definitely what I would suggest to do. Just reach out for sure. There's so much help out there. And it might take a while to figure out what works for you. That's the one thing that I do love about carnivore, especially if there is stomach issues going on, is just it makes it simplified to figure out what the problem is. And then you can just start to reintroduce things. Like my goal was never to be carnivore for life. I do like vegetables. There are some that don't bother me, so why not eat them? And if I feel good, and if I've actually noticed, because you were asking earlier whether my basil has had to change because of the vegetables, I've actually noticed, and I kind of think it was like a Dr. Bernstein weird thing where, because sometimes insulin works, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it floats around. I feel like the basil just sort of slightly covers the vegetables as well too. Like it's just like there's this like random little amount that sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't work. In diabetes is weird. Some days you can do the
Yeah.
exactly the same thing one day and then it's different the next day, but then you need to figure out why is it different. Like, was I thinking different? Did I not give myself insulin properly? Is my insulin old? Was it in the heat? Blah blah blah. There's so many things to think about, but yeah. There's lots of help out there. Huge.
Yeah, I think I find the same thing as a type 2. I mean, a lot of what you are talking about applies to a type 2 as well as a type 1, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm like a science experiment because I can really figure out exactly how much does what, and what temperature can change in my body, what
Right.
even music. Like I love my heavy metal stuff, but I've noticed even just driving around, I live in Pickering, Ontario, and we're really overpopulated. And I don't know about you, but the driving skills are not so good. So I've had to actually put on like spa music in my car. And that has made me so chill while I'm driving. And actually, when I'm in the salon now, too, I'll listen to spa music. I have eucalyptus essential oil burning, as long as the client is cool with that. And then I just like that much more relaxed, just gentle sort of vibe.
Well, and you're changing the frequency. So,
Huge.
we
Yeah.
talked about the water that we drink, but the body also is essentially water beings, right? It's
Yeah.
that exclusion on water. And so as our body is interpreting these waves, right? If you're listening to some very, heavy metal, strong wave music versus if you have more of this light, free flowing and that resonance or resonance with the body, and how it ends up and it interprets those waves, because it does truly end up and make a difference. That's why going back to your gratitude and your journaling and your boundaries and everything that you're setting before bed, that's another reason why it ends up and it makes a difference
Yeah.
is when you are worked up and the body is holding this, it doesn't want to wind down and sleep. It doesn't want to end up and be calm, right? That
Yeah.
calm and calming the cortisol helps with the glucose as
Mm.
well. And
Hmm.
that's where being able to, not saying that occasionally, doing the exercise or doing something that is a hormetic stressor is bad, right? You'll see the same thing if you get your sauna. It's going to end up and go up with the heat, but
I
it's
know
all
I'm kind of iffy about it, but yeah, it's yeah. There's so many different things that make a change. That's the one thing that a lot of clients love hearing about is like, is it uh, Hiro Makimono? I don't know how to say his name properly, but the guy who discovered that when you talk to water, that it holds emotion. And I think that, like, so many people are super curious about that. I'm like, your body is like each cell is like 89% water. Like everything, the voice, the words, the way you talk to yourself, even your thought patterns can change everything.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, one of the things that I haven't put it out there, well, until now, really, but I bought a sound machine
Oh
that
yeah,
plays the different frequencies, and I've been using it. I even traveled with it to my parents. I brought it with me.
nice.
And so I have been consistently that plays. It has different frequencies, and and sometimes I'll change them at night, like when I'm falling asleep. You can tell what frequency you need
Yeah.
just literally by changing the setting, and you can just feel the body just kind of um radiate it, it just kind of vibrates in, and so yeah, that's something that I've uh incorporated in. How long now, Becky? Has it been a month?
Yeah, probably at least.
About a month now,
Yeah.
that I've just, and honestly, it wasn't that expensive, and I've just added it to my things, right?
Yeah.
But you're right, the frequency is huge. I did one time a yoga class, and they did the sound baths with the bowls,
Oh, nice.
and it took me a little bit to relax into it, but once I did, I could feel literally the vibration going through my body.
Yeah.
And once I had relaxed into it and felt it, it's like, oh my goodness, I want this again.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. And I think what I was talking earlier about, like, feeling safe, I feel like that's a huge thing that a lot of people don't feel, especially when they have an illness or if they have a relative that's ill, or just whatever the situation is, just the lack of feeling safe can just wreck so much, like hugely. And your nerves are just on edge all the time. I almost feel like even having bad sugar control has that same effect. Like it feels the same. It messes with your originally, way back when I had no blood sugar control, I was erratic and just sort of just couldn't keep a focused thought pattern or anything, and I was just, my body temperature would be up and down. It's funny actually, when my husband and I met, we've been married 18 years now. Way back when, I used to have cold showers all the time, but it was because my blood sugar was so hot, or I was so high and I was so hot, like my body temperature was really, really hot
Mm.
all the time. And I was doing it to cool myself down. It wasn't enough, but it's intuitive, right? Like you start to go towards things, even like with the most of the vegetables that I'm eating. Oh, I missed out sweet potato. A lot of them have beta carotene, which is actually really good for your eyes. And the eyes are like my main focus, right? Like that's, you're looking at the light, and that's what's given the connection to your eyes. That's also connected to your nervous system as well as your muscular system. Like it's all so intertwined that you don't even realize it. And once, I think, just the older I get too, I want to just keep learning more things because there's so much to learn.
And I think that should be a goal for everyone, continuing to learn, continuing to dig, continue to research. The research is out there. I mean, it's literally at your fingertips. And yes, there's two sides to all the research, right? So really learning how to understand what you're looking at,
Yeah.
and not just finding, something that's fitting your narrative, right? Because there are those cases where some people will be like, but here's the research, and really looking at it, like I said, don't just cherry pick the information that you want. Really look at all the research. And because again, there's voices out there, you brought up the sweet potato, that will say, carbs are going to kill you and carbs are bad, but that's not necessarily the case, right?
No. Yeah.
um sure, there's anti-nutrients and carbs and whatever else, but it's just, there's
And you
also,
learn to cook it the right way too, right? To then remove some of those antitoxins. Or like I remove the skin off my sweet potato and I still weigh everything that I eat before I eat it. So I know exactly how much of whatever's in there. But My carrots I still boil, and my cucumbers I remove the skin because that's part of the problem for me not being able to digest it. But the rest of it is pretty much water. So it is, there's ways to tweak things for you. You just have to literally learn how to do it. And there's so many resources out there.
Well, and that's just what I was going to say, right? Because yes, there's anti-nutrients in, the carbs, right? But we can also end up and get salmonella from chicken, and we can get E. coli, and so does that mean those are bad for us too, right? It's all about the preparation. It's all about how you handle it, and it's all about your body specifically, not what someone else is telling you to eat or not to eat.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So I have to tell a little story about April. So when we were in the throes of selling our house and moving, it was a very stressful situation. And unbeknownst to anybody, but I'm going to tell everybody now what you did, April. She set out to send me funny stuff on Instagram on the messages like daily, and they were funny,
Yeah.
and it I started to look forward to it, like, and then I started reciprocating, like,
You
"Oh, I found
did.
it
Yeah.
funny," and I would send it to her, and we still kinda do that every once in a while, but that was huge in helping my mental state at that time. Was you were that connection to, "Hey, I'm gonna make you smile, laugh,
Yeah.
giggle," whatever it was, but I do appreciate that, so thank
Oh,
you.
I reciprocated back multiple times. Thank you. Anytime. There's a quote that I absolutely love, and I don't know who said it, but it basically describes someone walking through the forest. We walk through the forest and we see trees that are bent, crooked, half there, down on the ground, but we admire them how they are, and we love them for how they are, and we can understand that they're bent because of the wind, or they're bent because of the water that they're getting towards, or the sun that they're reaching for. It's like, if we could do that for people, admire them for who they are, where they're at, what they've got going on, I think the world would be like a way better place. And I just like to be that way with people. And it's reciprocated, like you said, right? As soon as you do it, it comes back to you.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
I certainly appreciated it at the time. We need to pick that back up.
Well, I'm addicted to Buttersworth now. Thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, yeah.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Well, any final words of anything you would like to share with those that are listening, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, over here on YouTube?
Um, I would just say that don't demonize yourself because you're different than the person beside you, and also to them, like, don't demonize them for being different than you, and just if it works for you, then do it, and if it doesn't, or you want to make a change, then reach out for help. And Becky and Sherry are the best place to do it.
Thank you, my dear. We love
Thanks.
you, and we appreciate having your voice within the BNC community,
Oh, yeah.
Thank
and
you.
helping. Like I said, you are a very strong voice, and I can't tell you how many times I've referred to you as, I know other type 1 diabetics doing this and having great, success with it. So I use you as a example quite frequently of it can be done, because I hear it all the time, right? I'm type 1 diabetic and I will forever need this level of insulin, and they told me to eat like this. Well, but
Mhm.
they're, so
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you, and you being vulnerable enough to put yourself out there, because I know there was a time where you kind of weren't, you were doing more of the hair stuff, but you've
Yeah.
definitely put your health journey out there too.
Thank you. Yes.
Oh, I'd love that. And we're gonna have you back again, right, to give us the update because, again, for those that have joined, please go back about a year ago. It's a little over a year ago now, and listen to April back then versus now, and you're going to see huge, huge changes. And yeah, we are definitely so proud of you, and we're also very glad to call you a friend.
No, thank you. Love you both.
Love you, dear. Have a wonderful night, everyone, and we will see you next week.